Hello children. So here we'll start the first chapter of political science, that is Constitution, why and how. We will take up a brief introduction about the Indian Constitution, how it was made, how it was adopted from different other countries' constitution, and what is the significance or the importance of the Constitution in today's era. The first slide that we see tells us that a constitution is a body of fundamental principles according to which a state is constituted or governed. The constitution is a compact document that comprises of a number of articles about the state. Hence, we can briefly say in that context that constitution is one of the bodies that will take up the governance system of the entire country. The next slide tells us about the Constitution of India, which was framed by the Constituent Assembly that was established in 1946 by the Cabinet Plan, but then it was taken up on 26 November 1949, and hence we find that from then onwards we trace the times or trace the dates from when the Constitution of India was formed. The next slide. Now in your chapter, this slide says, as with the functions of the Constitution, we find that there are different instances given in your book, in your chapter, which tells us about the different functions of the Constitution. Now briefly when we state it, it says and complies as the first function of the Constitution is to provide the set of basic rules that is for the minimum coordination and assurances of the differences amongst the members of the society. The second function is to specify who has the power to make decisions in the society. Third is to set limitations on the government. Fourth, to enable the government to fulfill the aspirations of society and create the conditions for the society. Last, to express the fundamental identity of the people. So altogether, these all functions of the Constitution makes Constitution a very vital functionary of the governance. Now in this slide, we will find out that why do we need a constitution. Very detailed description is given in your chapters. When you go through the chapter, you will find out it is in just a brief that you have been given out here that why actually a constitution is required. A constitution has basic measures, basic functions that we have already seen, and hence the requirement of the constitution is mainly to define the limitations, because if anyone is not there to limit the powers of the government, the organs of the government, to situate the different relations between the government and its citizens, it will be difficult for the entire governance to stop and take up the autocratic system. Hence, in a democracy, the constitution somehow limits the power, it somehow reciprocates the power amongst the governance, and it takes the good relationship between the government and the citizen and establish the equality and right aspects of the citizen of the country. Now when we talk about the basic features of our constitution, by instances we already know that there are amendments that can be made to the Constitution of India, and hence we can say it is not as rigid as different other constitutions of the world. So for the features, we can first distinguish that it is neither flexible nor very rigid. The second aspect that we can come across is that it is federal in its nature as well as unitary in its composition. So when we see that federal and unitary form goes hand in hand in the Constitution of India, how it is beautified and how it is beautifully there and descripted, made properly by the government of the India, taking the consent of the people and different other measures. The Constitution of India is also supreme, and hence we say that nothing is above the Constitution of India, as regarded by all, respected by all, be the entire ministries, be the normal people, the common people of the country. We all know that there is no one above the Constitution, because it gives the roles and the prerogatives, the entire work of the legislative, executive, judiciary, and each and every organs of the government. Hence, the limitations of powers can also be exercised through the Constitution. Now, when we trace the entire incident of making up of the Indian Constitution, we see, or we actually have a quote to say that Indian Constitution is a borrow bag of different other constitutions. So hence we see either it's a written constitution, either it's a non-written constitution of any of the democracies or the country of the world. We have taken from them the important aspects, the important points that can be included in the Indian governance system. Hence, we see that the government or the Government of India Act of 1935, that was the first thing that came into existence for introduction of the Indian Constitution. Rather, we see and trace the events that there are different policies, there are different laws, different acts and articles that we have taken up from the different constitutions of the world, like the Constitution of Britain, the Constitution of Ireland, the Constitution of USA, the Constitution of France, and different other, like the Canadian Constitution. So all that you will find in your book, the chapters, the last pages give you a detailed description that from which constitution we have taken what are the features and different other aspects. Now when we deal with the main federal features of the Indian Constitution, we see that it is flexible and it is written constitution. There is a distribution of powers between the center and the state, that is, we follow the federal structure of the governance. There is supremacy of the judiciary, as judiciary does not intrude into the works of the executive and legislature. Rather, executive, legislature and judiciary have their own share of functions and work and importance, and hence they establish a checks and balance system, and we have a bicameral legislature. Now this slide tells you about the different committees that was formed when the formation of the Indian Constitution was taking place, and different people who have chaired to these committees. So gradually, if you see, there were different commissions which were made, and different people were responsible and taking a good asset, taking a good place, incorporating the entire aspects of the Constitution. Now, when we talk about the nature of the philosophy or the political philosophy of the Constitution of India, we gradually see that whatever nature is proclaimed of the Constitution, that is what we are talking about, the nature and the structure of India as a cultural asset. Now, when we say India is a democracy, it has so many values, so many caricatures, so many features that is carry forwarded. As for example, it stabilizes a different egalitarian society. There are different linguistic groups, the minorities are present, majority are there. We are trying to give equal respect to all, and as per the Constitution, none of them are unequal before the law. Equality before the law is established here. Then the building of a nation, building of a complete successful democracy is seen in the context. Then different other historical disadvantaged groups are also there, whom we are trying to support, and we are taking an egalitarian basis, a society which is diversity, equality into diversity, and hence we give a projection of a world into the world order that we are so large in number, yet so confiscated, yet so united in the entire scenario. Now, when we all are familiar with the word preamble, as we say that is the preface for the Constitution, and we the people of India, this is the starting words of the preamble, and hence when we go through the entire preamble as given in your chapter, in the first preface of your chapter, or the Constitution why and how, we will find that there are different objectives that are given there, like equality, justice, fraternity, secular, socialist, republic, integrity. All these comes as the objective of the Indian Constitution. Whatever the words, the key features that have been incorporated in the preamble, the entire world is trying, or the entire country is trying here, that all these key features, all these structures that we have incorporated in the preface or the preamble of the Constitution becomes the objectives of the Constitution, and the entire country can be provided, the country citizens can be provided with all these basic amenities. All are familiar with the Now, when we talk about the need to adopt the political philosophy, we see that how important it becomes for the country like India to adopt the philosophies written in the Constitution. As we see, it has been so many years that our Constitution has been made, yet there has not been a complete changeover of the Constitution, unlike different other constitutions of the world. And this has brought us to a milestone to become the best amongst the all constitution and the oldest of the amongst many of the constitutions of the worlds and the countries, that we see that our political philosophy is also entirely different as the entire structure of our country requires. Now, when we say about studying the philosophy of the Indian Constitution, we basically talk about laws, we talk about equality, we talk about the values. Whatever values that is incorporated in the Indian Constitution, we talk about that. We need to understand also the conceptual structure of the Constitution. What was the constant concept behind formatting such a constitution for the country, the philosophical treatment of the value that has been given to us in inherited way. We as an Indian always have pride in speaking about our constitution and the values that we have inherited through our families, through our ancestors, and through the people who have been struggling for the entire Indian national struggle. Now, since the day we have seen that our Indian Constitution came into force on 26 January 1950, since then till today we have seen that we have been adopting the philosophy of the Constitution, and this has traced in history for the not only inside the country but for the entire world, that India has one of the most oldest and the written of the Constitution, which has not been changed by far in the time. The amendments have been done, but we have not altered our Constitution. Hence, it is a responsibility for all of us as a citizen of the country to uphold our Constitution, to respect it, and somehow to take it to that levels that till eternity we follow the same constitutionary measures, making certain amendments to it and taking the entire structure of the Constitution, the features of the Constitution and the philosophy of the Constitution to a next level. And hence, like this only, we do not call Constitution a living document. We know it's a living document because it has its sustenance amongst us till the day we are here, the Indian citizens are there. They'll always be upgrading it, the entire aspects of the Indian Constitution, the legislature, the executive, the judiciary, various organs of the government, various ministries, different bureaucracies, different people coming under the Constitution. All of us are here uprighted and we pay homage and respect to our Constitution. Now, since